Welcome to 180 U-Turn, the talk show that features some of the greatest conversion stories of our time. Stories of men and women who are on the highway to hell when they encountered a Damascus Road event that completely turned their lives around. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, and today I'm broadcasting live from the Home of Hope, a ministry of Teen Challenge in Casa Grande, Arizona. It's one of the most premier detox and rehab facilities for drug and alcohol abuse. And for more information on the rehab facilities and services, weekly meetings, and special events, just hop out to their website at tcaz.org. When you get there, then click on programs, and then file will fall down, and then click on Home of Hope. And don't forget, if you want to write me at the show, love the verses, love the exhortations, all the stuff you guys send me is just great. My email address is steve@180uturn.com. That's steve at 180youturn.com. Today, I'm putting a spotlight on the conversion story of Mandy Stockton. Welcome to 180, Mandy.
Hi.
Wow, and I love the Tennessee draw, I have to say. Wow. Last night we were in prison, and I told the girls that we were going to do an interview here at Home of Hope, and two of the Tennessee gals popped up, and they gave me a little talk afterwards. They said, "Oh, you sound just like
That's
Mandy."
exciting. That's exciting.
There you go. So there's people that talk like you out
right.
there. Well, I'm a Chicago boy, and of course it shows a lot of times. So I want to talk a little bit about your beginning, because Tennessee, very somewhat a conservative area. You were in a small town, right?
Yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
but the cool thing about your upbringing, you're brought up Southern Baptist, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you had a God consciousness about you.
Absolutely.
Did you go to Vacation Bible School?
Yes, sir.
You did, okay.
Absolutely.
And of course, you're Southern Baptist, right? And mom and dad both went?
Yes, sir. Whole family went.
So everybody's into going to that. And early on, you said you picked up on performance. You want to be, your parents want you to be somebody, and you have no problem with that.
Right.
And you had natural athletic ability.
Yes, sir.
Now, how early did that start?
When I was about 4, I was just handed a basketball. And just kind of picked it up on my own, and also played soccer at the age of 4 too. And so wasn't really taught anything, just kind of picked it up. And then later on in life, my parents got me actual private coaches and stuff like that, and then that's when it kind of honed in on.
Now you must have done pretty good in high school.
Yes, sir.
Because you landed a major scholarship in a Division I college basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
were you, when you went out there, you got a scholarship? Could you believe you getting paid to play?
It was, I actually signed my junior year instead of my senior year, and it was just something that I loved to do. And it was just, I'm not trying to sound conceited, but I just kind of always knew that I would play college basketball. Actually, I thought I would play college soccer. That was my favorite sport, but because of knee surgeries and stuff like that, I kind of had to move on to basketball. And
now I just want to stop you there for a second, because sometimes we have people on the show that have an athletic background and they had injuries. This is their gateway into dope, right? Because it could be Percocet, it could be Vicodin, and they get into it and then they can't shake it. But you didn't have any of that issue.
No, sir. That was never my thing. Never.
But as we all know, and myself included, a whole generation before you, we start drinking in high school because everybody drinks.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Now, when you had first, I'm just asking you, Mandy, if you had your first sip of anything heavy, whiskey, Crown Royal, whatever it was, did that really taste good, really?
I'm from the South, and so, growing up, if you were sick or whatnot, whiskey was something that was always used,
For medical purposes.
For medical purposes, it was put on my pacifier, when I was
Teething
teething and stuff like that. So, at an early age, even at 13, 14, and going to the country club and stuff like that, it was, you had a drink, and so, sneaking it here or there, and it was just something that I grew up doing.
Did you like it?
I did, yeah.
Okay, now, and I told this story, I won't belabor for the interview, but when I first tried Crown Royal, I was with all my cousins down in the basement with my sister and so forth. My first shot was terrible. That should have did it for me right there.
Right.
Now, you would think. But now you started socially drinking, and you're involved in an accident, and this is not a small accident. This is a big accident. And let's just walk you through it. Where are you going? What was happening as you were driving? and then we'll talk about the other person involved.
So I was a senior in college and was home visiting my parents, friends. We had all gone out that night, and I decided to come home. And in the process of me driving home, I dropped my cell phone in the passenger seat of the vehicle that I was driving, and I completely let go of the steering wheel to go down and pick it up. And when I came back to, there was an officer. I was in his lane, police car, and we were coming head on at each other. And I just remember thinking, if I swerve, he's gonna swerve too, and then we're gonna hit each other. So as they call it, I played chicken, and he had to swerve off the road. I thought I was making the right decision, but obviously I wasn't. And he ended up hitting a telephone pole. He did walk away from the accident, but I was charged with attempted vehicular homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, a felony DUI.
And you never crashed each other, right?
No,
okay.
Sir.
So let's just, because we're gonna have people watching this, right?
Right.
And if you read my blog that attaches to this, we'll talk about this. It's one thing. No, it's one thing to talk on your telephone, text on your telephone, email on your telephone, take a call, maybe, but you drop your phone and go get it. Now you probably thought, when you're 21, you got the reflexes of a cat, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? You can just you can get down there and back.
I wasn't even 21 yet.
Oh yeah. So you probably thought you could get down to get the phone and get back in time.
Right.
Now, what did they actually charge? Was it involuntary involuntary vehicular?
It was attempted vehicular homicide.
So they took it seriously.
And I believe a lot of that was because I'm from a small town. Everybody knew everybody, and so I had actually taken one of the diet pills that was popular at the time, Phentermine, where you used to have to go to Alabama, to get the prescription, and so I was sober in the capacity to where I could, pass all these tests that they had given me. And
so they're testing for alcohol.
Right. I didn't blow in the thing yet. I was doing all those tests.
And this diet drug, what'd you call it again?
Phentermine.
So Phentermine is actually making you stable.
I had sobered up real quick, but wasn't, my blood alcohol level was 3 limits over. And so at the end of all this, they said
3 times over the limit? Yeah,
and
3 times. Wow.
Yeah, and so they said, we're going to take you to the hospital and draw your blood. And I just remember thinking, I'm going to be in so much trouble from this from my parents. And so we get to the hospital and they drew my blood, and then that's when it got real serious.
It got real serious.
With the charges.
Okay, so you got charged with attempted vehicular homicide and other felonies. It wasn't just that.
Right, assault with a deadly weapon on an officer.
Okay, let me start again for our listeners. A vehicle in this scenario has become a deadly weapon. Yeah, I mean that's scary when you think about it. Yeah, go ahead.
And so, and I also got charged with a felony DUI, although that was my first DUI just because of...
you had no prior charges at all before this?
Sir.
So you're a good girl?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
For the most part.
Okay, well, we'll get into that later. Okay, so you go to court, what is the sentence that's handed down?
So I got 10 years probation. I got a 6 on top of a 4. And to finish the 6 first and then to start the 4. The 6, what we call community corrections down south.
Not concurrent.
Not concurrent. So community corrections was basically just one step before you go to prison. And so you couldn't mess up. It was, you finished this probation or you went to prison. There was
it's 10 years of probation. Wow,
yes,
I mean,
sir.
that is a long time to be on paper.
Right, and so, and to make the first 6, and then I was going to start with state would be the 4. And so, like I said, I had, got on that. It took about a year to go through those court proceedings, and not because of anything, of any problems, just because it would get put off, and this, that, or the other would happen, and there would be different deals that would come in, and I was never offered jail time. Like I said, it's a small town, but was never offered any jail time. I did spend about 14 hours that night, and then was released to my parents. But
was there a fine? Did you have to pay any money?
There was a large fine.
A large fine.
I had to buy them a new vehicle too.
So what was that number?
So I think it topped out at about 25,000.
So 25,000, and somebody wrote a check for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the fact that I flattened my time when I ended up. So when I went into, we won't get into that. I guess when I went into Teen Challenge and did a lot of the probation, you know, I was paying the monthly fines and stuff like that. But when I ended up at the end of it all flattening my sentence, so the remainder of that, since I flattened my sentence, that took care of that. But I ended up paying, oh gosh, 14,000
On top of that, on top of the 25.
Right.
So you have 13 to 14,000 in just regular fines and things like that. Okay.
Yes.
Now, your parents wanted you to go to Teen Challenge because they think you might have a problem?
Well, so I had about 2 months left of college, and just, you know, after this accident, I'm going to be honest with you, I just kept drinking and kept, you know, graduated college, and about a week and a half later, it was a Saturday morning, my mom came and got me up, and she said, we're going to church. We met with the pastor whose nephew had actually gone through Teen Challenge. I had no idea what Teen Challenge was.
This isn't the Teen Challenge we're at today. Is it?
No. This is in New York.
Okay.
I had no idea what Teen Challenge was, and my mom was basically like, "This is where we're sending you." And I got up and walked out, and I said, "No, this is not what's happening."
Well, let me back up here for just a second, Miss Mandy. You know, wait a minute. You've went through all these things, and your first time out, you start drinking again. See, now, this is what I always, as we progress through Mandy's story, and you've heard me do this with many people that come on here, you keep looking for the wake-up call.
Right.
You keep looking for something that's going to knock you out of your stupor, right?
Right.
And I'm always amazed. What is it going to take? And some of you have written me, say, Steve, I cannot believe this girl did this, and this, or this guy did this, and this, and they still were
Kept
not
going.
awake.
Kept
Yeah.
going.
So that surprises me because
Right.
you're smart. You're a college gal. You know, you're athletic. You got a brain on your shoulders, right?
And I thought, you know, coming from the background that I came from in the small town, and everybody knew everybody, and the family that I came from, to be honest with you, just thought that I could do whatever. And then I could continue, and this is just something that I got away with.
Okay, so did you wind up going to Teen Challenge against your will?
Oh, well, yes.
Right? I mean, you want to go. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of people that go to all kinds of facilities, including Teen Challenge Detox, right?
That was a hoot doing that, yes.
5 years?
Yes.
Well, you must have embraced it down the road a little.
Down the road. Now, when I first got there, you know, I get on a plane and I'm going to New York, and I'm thinking New York City. And so I get to the airport, and I'll never forget, this van pulls up, these two gals get out, and they were just smiling. And I'm thinking, what on earth? So I get in the van with them, and we start to drive out of the city, and I'm like, where are we going? Because all I'm thinking of is New York City, you know, I'm going to be this.
You're from Tennessee.
Right, this might be okay. And then we end up going upstate to Garrison, New York, which is across the Hudson from West Point. Gorgeous area. But I get out there, and it's a 75 bed facility. It's actually the first women's teen challenge that was ever founded. And so it's on 22 acres, gorgeous facility. But my first chapel there, people were getting slain in the spirit, and I was just like, where have my parents sent me? I was.
Did they know this?
Yes, I was so.
They're Southern Baptists. How would they? They were okay with this?
Yes, I was so angry. I was so, because you're also on a 30-day blackout period, so you don't get to make phone calls. You just get to write to and from your immediate family. And my mom actually kept all the letters that I wrote in these 30 days. And I was just like, y'all have sent me to a cult. You know, I'm out here with people they call it speaking in tongues, and people are falling on the floor, and there's nobody to talk to. All they're talking about is Jesus, this, that, and the other. But eventually, you know, I loved it. I ended up, you know, I believe I was 4 months in the program when I became the intake coordinator.
Well, I always like this because who needs drugs when all that's happening, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we're going to continue with Mandy's story in episode 2, and I'm so sorry to say it's going to go downhill from here.
Right.
So I'm sorry that people have to go through these things, but as people you watch our show, you know those things. Listen, if you want more information on Teen Challenge, if you're a gal, and they're the only facility, now there could be other ones, I'm just saying they're the only national facility where they have women intake for detox that includes children. So if you want more information about any of their programs, services, or weekly events, just hop out to their website, and that website is tcaz.org. Then when you come up there, click on our programs, it'll drop down a menu and hit Home of Hope. So until next time, I'm Steve Savant, and remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.